Satnam Ji, yogis and yoginis. Hello, welcome back to this last part on this mantra course. It's been a long course with many parts, and if you've been following every one of these videos, I thank you very much. I appreciate your commitment and being there, watching these videos. It's giving me the energy to do them. So I'm passionate about this, and I hope that you found something valuable, something that is gonna nurture your practice in some way. And so today we're gonna kind of tidy up a few loose ends and put it all together. A very short review of what we have seen with some maybe fresh ideas on the implications of all that. And we will do a few examples as well on how to put it into practice. So first of all, what was this course about? We have been seeing what is the power of sound. And that from the very introduction of the video, when we explored how different scientific experiments prove how sound can be used. And it can be used in a destructive way, but it can also be used in a constructive way. It can be healing. Power can be very healing, which is the way that we have used it in yoga for many centuries or thousands of years, right? And not only healing, but also to empower ourselves and really in our pursuit of this enlightenment, yeah? So we were exploring the power of sound, and we said, well, if sound is the sound of every letter of the alphabet has a power by itself, by the way it has been constructed, it would be worth exploring the alphabet itself. The alphabet that we use to chant mantras with, the Sanskrit alphabet, which was designed to get the most out of our voice. And we saw how the Sanskrit alphabet and the Gurmukhi alphabet were very much very similar in terms of how it is pronounced and how it vibrates in us, therefore the effect that it has on us. The Gurmukhi has some influence from Persian letters and other things, but it's mostly the same. There's vowels, there's semivowels, there's consonants, which is something that we find in any language. But so we wanted to explore the Sanskrit. I use the Sanskrit because it's the one I know more than the Gurmukhi. So even though I don't speak Sanskrit and I cannot even read Sanskrit, but I've learned how to pronounce the mantras as best as I can with my own Spanish accent, and I benefit from that, and that's why I focus on the Sanskrit. And we saw how the vowels were the life givers and the semi-vowels were the chakra activators, right? You may remember we had this drawing, yeah? We were exploring this, how every one of the semi-vowels were activating one of the chakras. We even explored the vowels and the relationship to a number of things. It was a long journey. We're not going to go through it now. We explored how some names would be explored through the letters and that contain that word. So whatever your name is, what are the letters and what does that mean? What does it mean about you? What does it mean how it's vibrating in you? We did that. And then we went into the consonants and we did a long and slow process of exploring how the consonants vibrate in our upper palate. And we also explore this diagram with the 84 points vibrating in the upper palate, how that's going to be stimulating the pituitary and the pineal through the whole process, what we call the Nat Yoga. This is according to the understanding from Yogi Bhajan. And then we explored it from a mantra yoga perspective to finally end up creating this diagram of like a map of the sounds, of every sound from the alphabet, how it vibrates in the body. And then we took every consonant and we explored the sound and how does the sound affect the meaning in the words. It's not that the letter R has any meaning by itself, but having that sound in a word will have a specific meaning. And we explored similar words with synonyms, but with one sound or without that sound, how does that change? And then we also explored, all the words that contain a certain letter or that start with a certain letter or with that letter in the second position or in the second to the last or the last position. What qualities do they have in common? We did that through exploring this wonderful little book, God's in the Word, by Margaret Magnus, and we used it quite extensively. And yeah, I really appreciate the work that she did compiling this book, and that she offers her thesis openly in the website and so on. So this has been a lovely journey. We explored the Om and the Ong and how the Ong would vibrate strongly, and it has a tantric tradition aspect to vibrating the sounds with the NG rather than the Om behind. And we explore that as well. And so by this, particularly this drawing that we did, we have a map, yes? But we should give out a few warnings as well at this point, which is that some sounds will vibrate in more than one part. So, for example, the sound Sa, the last one that we were exploring, the sound of Kundalini, it is on the root of the body and the legs and the first chakra, but it is the Kundalini. The Kundalini is a very sexual energy as well, therefore it's going to be also vibrating in the second chakra. And actually the Kundalini wants to wake up and it wants to go higher, so it's like 1, 2, 1 higher. So the sound S is not just linked to the root chakra, and maybe you could see it linked also to the stimulation of Sushumna. We could also see it connected, for example, to the third eye. Chanting Sa may vibrate the third eye, and that's something you can explore with. And also Sa associated to Sat, which is truth. That's going to be vibrating in the heart. And also because, Sat Naam, we say the mantra Sat Naam, identifying with the truth, or the truth is my identity, and Sa, that aspect of truth, would be vibrating with the heart. And so different sounds are going to be vibrating in more than one place at once. So it's not like this map is absolute and every sound is vibrating just there and absolutely, nothing else. We should consider that. So that's one thing. Another thing that we should be considering is that we, as the chanter, the one who is chanting whatever sound, even whatever mantra, or just when we are speaking, we can project the voice from different areas of the body. So I can be speaking more from a higher place, more from the head, and the kind of conversation I'm going to be having is different if I'm speaking from here, and I'm not even speaking like more higher or in a higher tone, but this is a different projection that if I go lower, maybe I go to the throat, the communication from the throat is going to be different, but still not touching my heart. If I go down to my heart, you may feel it in the quality of the sound and the feeling of the voice and how it touches differently. Specifically, it touches more the heart than the throat. The throat can be a bit like blunt, that kind of communication, but from the heart is more warm, and you can go even lower and put in your navel, and when you put the navel point, it's going to be more charged with power and more charged with energy, especially if you go even lower, going down to the second chakra. So I don't know if you could perceive it from a video or from YouTube. I don't know if it's very clear, but I was choosing to project the sound from different places, and that has a different impact on the person. So you may be saying some sounds which are vibrating in a specific part of the body, but you may choose to project them in a different way. On this point, we could say that in general, we would like to project from the navel, because that's the thing that is going to bring the projection to your voice. And that's going to be the right projection of the voice as well. Not just projection, but like getting farther, but also how it reaches the space. It's not about talking loud, but it's about the vibration that reaches which area of the space, how it reaches the space. I'm not expressing it very well, but your projection. So the navel is going to be important to give that projection, but then through the heart. So the heart is there. We are not bypassing the heart just to give more power to the voice, but we're going through the heart, not from the heart, because then it lacks a lot of the power of the navel, but through the heart. So that's one thing. So don't take this diagram like an absolute and like saying this is the only way it works. So that's one thing, from the navel, through the heart. Don't take the diagram just as an absolute, and see how it's vibrating in the way you project the sound. That's one thing. So if we consider that, still, that's in a communication from one to one, yeah? If we want to take a look at a particular sound from a particular word or a mantra, or like I suggested, your own personal name or your spiritual name, then we could use this diagram, these maps. This is what we have been doing. It's useful, and we can guide ourselves by it, just exactly the way the map shows, but we could also explore the meaning. So let's do an example of that, and maybe it's more clear. We have been seeing a few examples along the way, but it's good that we do a little exploration. So we'll take this map. We're going to do a little example with the mantra Ramadasa. And if we take Ramadasa, this is a mantra that we use in Kundalini Yoga, as taught by Yogi Bhajan. Ramadasa. Now, if we take this mantra, if we use this map, strictly speaking, Ra is very, very clearly the third chakra, yeah, aligned is the Bija sound of the third chakra, so there's no doubt about that. Ma is the sound of the mother, and now the mother is something that is linked to the second chakra. Remember, this is where the belly is within the body of the mother, but the baby wants to be born, so this is going to be second chakra and wants to go down, yeah. So Ma is the sound of the second chakra wanting to go to the first. Now Da is something that is vibrating in the heart. Whether it has a dot or not, it will make it higher or lower, but let's just say around the heart. And Sa, the sound of sound, again, this is the first chakra. Sorry, you cannot see it. First chakra and root, but also it's a Kundalini and it's a sexual energy, so it's also the second chakra, and it wants to go higher. So this is like 1, 2, and wanting to go higher. So here we would write 1 to the 2 and wanting to go higher, yeah? So from a Karma Kriya perspective, from a numerology perspective, we would associate it with a 3, 1, 4, 2. Yeah, where is this going to? Yeah, going towards the 1 and towards the 2. So this is like a 3, 1, 4, 2 sequence, which is a very common sequence in Karma Kriya that we utilize. It's a natural sequence, and we could explore that from a Karma Kriya perspective, from a numerological perspective. But let's just leave it at that in this video. I think it's enough to leave it like this. Let's take another one, Satanama. Yeah, Sa-ta-na-ma. I'm addressing, this was asked in the comments of the previous video, and asked if I could like explore them a little bit in an example, and I think it's worth doing it just to show how we utilize these maps. So Satanama, we would see that Sa is vibrating mostly 1 towards the second chakra, yeah, but first chakra to the second. Ta would be the fourth chakra. Na would be in the, fourth chakra as well, yeah. So this would be first and fourth. 3 and 4, yeah, as I said, it can be 4, but it can go, it can be fourth chakra, but it can go lower into the third chakra almost. So it's between the 4 and the 3. Yeah. Na is the same, 4 and 3. And Ma is something, again, 2. So we could see that Satanama is actually then Satanama, 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 Satanama. So it's doing this movement, yeah? Up and down and up and down and up and down. And vibrationally, this is how it's operating. But we can find, Satanama is a contraction of the mantra Satnam. Now Satnam is true identity, yeah? And Sat relates to truth. And truth is something that we connect to the heart. Yeah, the heart is true. The mind wants to lie. Mind lies. In Spanish we say mente miente. Yeah, it's very similar, the word. But Sat is about the truth and identity. So identity is this one. So Satnam altogether vibrates in the fourth chakra. As the meaning of it, yeah? Now vibrationally, if we say, well, Sa is also linked to truth and reality and living in the heart, then we could say that Sa is also vibrating from here. Now Ta being linked to the 4 and the 3, and particularly going towards the 3, if it's not a T with a dot, like in Satanama, this is not a T with a dot. So as we come to Na would be, Na is saying no in English, yeah, and in Spanish and many languages. Na is negating, yeah, and that means that saying no. That if we look at it from the Tattva perspective, of all the Tattvas, the water is the element that is more linked to the no, because the water cleans. Water is cleansing. Water says no to the dirt. Therefore, Na would be associated to the water, and in Kundalini Yoga we would associate it to the second spiritual body. So we would associate it to number 2. And Ma being the mother, again, this is number 2, but wanting to go towards the 1. Sorry, here this is the 4 going towards the 3, this is the 2, and the 2 going towards the 1. So if we look at it and we join the meaning of the sounds, then we find that this is the sequence that this mantra is doing. Satanama is going from the heart down towards the base, where the Kundalini is asleep, and this is the stimulation of it. So this is an example of how we could utilize these sounds to explore a mantra, how a mantra vibrates, and then we could take this and connect it to numerology. And because if you know numbers, then it can help bring some more meaning to your understanding, so you can understand better. So that's the ways we would utilize this in terms of meaning of the words, but also paying attention to the pronunciation, so the sound, how it is pronounced. Now, that aspect, that is what we call one of the pillars of mantra yoga chanting. There's 3 pillars of them. I mentioned it at the beginning of this course. That is rhythm, pronunciation, and projection. Now, we explore projection on the part of this course where we talked about vowels, I believe. And so projection from the navel, going up the spine, through the back, to the crown of your head, and then into the third eye, I'm projecting 60 degrees high, 60 degrees up, yeah, that kind of projection. I explore in another video in the channel, if you want to look at it, the implication of 60 degrees, why should it be important, 60 degrees. So that's about projection. We explore that. Pronunciation, we have been exploring pronunciation for a lot of videos already. This is what we have been doing through the alphabet, going slowly, letter by letter. One thing we didn't touch, or we touched it very, very little, which is rhythm. Now, in terms of rhythm, I don't want to say too much on this, but I want to mention a few things. Rhythm is all about the vibration. Mantra chanting is all about vibration, yeah? Vibration is something that goes up and down. There is a certain cycle, yeah? There is a frequency. It keeps on repeating, yeah? Frequency is linked to a tone is linked to sound. So when you're doing music, when you're playing a guitar, for example, you pluck the guitar and it's vibrating. Yeah, imagine this is a guitar, you pluck it and it's like zzz, vibrating, yeah? And this vibration produces a certain tone, a certain sound. So sound is totally linked to this vibration. Now vibrations are additive. So if I take another sound which is exactly the same, yeah? Exactly the same, and I add these two sounds, we're going to obtain, the result is going to be something that is twice as high. Yeah, this vibration is going to be twice as high. Now, if the vibration was the same but the opposite, so high when it's low and low when it's high, the result of this addition, this one, the black one plus the blue one, that would be this, 0. And the noise would be cancelled, or the sound would be cancelled, would be absolute 0. Now, what does this mean? In terms of mantra chanting, if you are creating a vibration, you want to keep in frequency with that vibration so that the vibration amplifies itself. When you're chanting a mantra, when you're repeating a mantra, you are creating this vibration in your space. And you could also explore the vibration of the space, because the size of the room is going to affect which frequencies are going to be more amplified. How, when the sound bounces off the wall and comes back to you, it will come back at a certain frequency. So you could explore that as well. But let's ignore that for a moment. And let's just consider that sound has a vibration and you are projecting that sound. Now, this is a little bit like when you are like in a swing. Let's say you are pushing a kid in a swing, yeah? And the kid is going forward and then he comes back and he pushes, he goes forward and he comes back. And this is like a pendulum, yeah? And there is a frequency to that. Now, if I push the kid when the kid is coming back, that's going to go against the energy of the swing that has accumulated, and it will become flat. The kid will stop, yeah? So the swing will stop. But if you push right when it's at the right moment, so the kid goes, the kid comes back, and then when it's at the same point of the starting point, then you put a little bit of effort, a little bit of energy, you're going to push the swing again, and it's going to go a bit higher. And it's going to hold the momentum, yeah? It's going to keep that momentum going. Or it can go even higher, yeah? With a little bit of effort, very little bit of effort. But if you put the effort when the kid is coming back, that's going to stop the swing. Okay, so take this metaphor now to mantra chanting. When we are chanting mantras, we want to keep the momentum going. And that's going to amplify the vibration in us, the effect in us. Because we chant a mantra and there is an echo in our psyche that is going to be happening. So we would say something like, let's make it very, very, very simple vibration, yeah? Hare, Hari, Hare, Hari, Hare, Hari, Hare, Hari, Hare, Hari, Hare, Hari. Right? It sounds very strange, right? I mean, what's happening here? There's all these breaks. They are cutting the energy. They are not allowing a certain flow. And it's not even a mantra that we use, like Hare, Hari, like that. We may say Hare, Hare, Hari, but anyway. It's just an example, right? So now let's experiment with a certain frequency and holding that frequency and notice the effect. Hare, Hari, 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 Hare, Hari. Okay, so the mind gets locked Yeah, the moment you're listening to the sound, the mind knows what to expect. The next sound is coming, and you lock onto it, and you kind of hypnotize the mind. Remember mantra, tra could be translated in many ways, but tra can be translated as trap. So you're trapping the mind into this frequency, this vibration, rather than thinking about something else. So the mind is locked into the mantra. So chanting the mantra with a certain rhythm is very important. It's good that when we explore mantra chanting, we notice this is about rhythm, pronunciation, and projection. It's not about intonation, it's not about having a good voice, about knowing how to sing, about carrying a tune, about having a perfect pitch. Nothing about that. It's about your own voice. Everybody, if you can speak, you can project the sound. If you can project the sound and you speak a language and people understand you, then you are pronouncing. You know how to pronounce. So if you are already natural in projection and pronouncing, and you pay attention to mantras and how to do it in mantras, it's just about keeping the rhythm. And you keep the rhythm, the effect is going to be more powerful in the mantra. Tune, perfect pitch, good voice, that's all secondary, and sometimes it's even distracting. A nice, beautiful melody may be distracting from the actual feeling, the presence and the power of the mantra. Though it's always nice when it's a nice melody and it helps to carry it and we enjoy it, and it's important to enjoy it, but it's not like an absolute, like this is the very important factor. So, one of the highest challenges that people have when they approach mantra yoga is that they have all these fears about not knowing how to sing. So mantra chanting has nothing to do with being a good singer. And this should be calming and relaxing. The most important is that you express your voice and listen to your voice and utilize your voice. And your voice is your identity. You identify with it. That's who you are. So chanting it and putting it with the word of Naam, with the Naam, you're going to start to associate with Naam. And it's very healing to hear your own voice and not to be afraid of not knowing how to sing. So that's very important. The same way that we shouldn't be afraid of how to sing properly and not knowing how to carry the tune, the same way we should be kind of getting rid of this fear of pronunciation as well. Now, in terms of pronunciation, like I've been paying attention to pronunciation quite a bit in this course, but I want to give this warning as well. Because first of all, if you always speak a natural language like English, this is your natural language or like your mother tongue, look, English in England and Liverpool and Wales and Scotland and America is going to be very, very different. And you can all understand each other, but you will say, well, you say that word very different from me. So that's going to happen in India too, in different areas. How they chanted in Sanskrit, there probably was a big variation. And even if we look at Old English and Modern English, I'm sure there is a lot of variations. And probably from the Old Sanskrit and New Sanskrit, New Sanskrit, I don't know if we can say that, but how we chant Sanskrit today and how it was chanted 2,000 years ago, it probably has evolved as well. And it's natural that it should happen like that, because life evolves. And if language is linked to our experience of the world, and the world evolves and our experience of the world is going to change, then our language is going to change naturally. So we shouldn't be too obsessed about being perfect in the pronunciation. It's good that we learn how to pronounce it, but it's also good not to be obsessive about this. Yeah, when we become fanatics, then we are not in the Dharma. Yeah, this is not dharmic, just to become a fanatic of something. So there's a nice little story that I liked about this. There is this old lady, and she was poor, like dirt poor. She didn't have even money for vegetables. She didn't have anything to eat. So every day she would take a stone, put it in water, and just boil the stone, and she would be chanting her prayers. And through the power of her own devotion, her bhakti, this stone would become vegetables, and she would create the soup, and her family would eat. Yeah. So just from the power of her prayers. And now her oldest child, he it was a blessing. He became like a Swami. He became like a scholar. He went to study Sanskrit, and he managed to have access to the teachings, which is quite a blessing for a family. So he went away. He was a number of years studying Sanskrit. And then he came back some years later with his mom. And so there was his mom slowly gonna, she was very happy to see him, of course. There's this big reunion, and then, let me prepare dinner for you. And she would take the stone, put the stone in the water, put the fire, and start chanting her prayers. And then the child says, "Oh, mom, you're not doing it right. This letter is not pronounced like this other sound is not pronounced like this, and the R should be like this, and the tongue has to touch here." And the mother was like, "Oh my goodness, I've been doing it wrong all my life. It's good that you were educated, because I never knew how to do it. I've been doing it wrong all the time. It's okay, man, just learn the new way." And so the mother is like, "Okay, the T, the tongue goes like that, and ta-ta, and then T, ta-ta-ta." And then she starts chanting her prayers, but so confused with the pronunciation and so careful and feeling ashamed. And you know what happens? The shame and the guilt and the trying to be correct tainted her bhakti, her devotion. And you can imagine what happens in the story. The stone does not transmute into anything. There's no vegetables. And so eventually the kid says, "Well, look, mom, just forget about it. Forget what I said. Ignore what I said. Just chant your prayers your own way, and it should be fine." And the mother was, okay, whatever you say, son. You know better, whatever you say. And she would chant her prayers. And of course, the stone, like every night, she would turn into vegetables. So there goes the story. I like this story because it tells me that at the end of the day, after all this studying, all this paying attention to sounds, all this paying attention to meaning, the most important at the end is bhakti. We could have started the course with this, right? The first part of the course say, look, forget about everything, just do bhakti, yeah? So bhakti is important. At the same time, the Shakti aspect, the technological aspect, the technique, the how to pronounce it, the how to do the rhythm there, all that is extra. And if you got the Bhakti, why not add the Shakti as well, yeah? So the idea would be in the practice that we join the Shakti and the Bhakti, but knowing that at the end of the day, the most important is that we hold the Bhakti, that, like Guru Nanak says, just repeat the Naam. That's the most important. Keep the Naam in your breath by breath. Just keep repeating the Naam, Simran, repetition, meditative repetition of the sound of the name, and that's it. That's the end. You don't need any more, yeah? Now, as yogis, we have the technologic part, and we want to include it, but let's not forget that mantra yoga is a bhakti yoga. That was my final comment I wanted to do to this course. And in this new light of the bhakti, we're going to apply what we have learned, and we're going to do. This has been a lot about me talking and exploring ideas. And the next course that I'm going to be doing here in YouTube is going to be a more meditative way, a more meditative one. We're going to take just one mantra, the Mool mantra from the Sikh Dharma. And we're going to go word by word, sound by sound, and we're going to chant it, we're going to meditate on it, and we're going to explore the meaning of it, and we're going to utilize what we know from numerology to try to understand it, because that mantra is very special. It conveys like the creation of the universe, the universal principles that are here with us right now, and how we as humans can we embody these principles and receive the 10 universal virtues. So we're going to explore that, 10 principles and virtues through the chanting and vibration and meditation on the sound of the Mool mantra. And we're going to go slowly. Every part of the course will be one of the sounds with an introduction first. I will have other videos as well in parallel with this. I will also have a few videos before I start this new course. But if you have enjoyed this course and you found value in it, I encourage you to look for that one as well. and let's build it together with our wisdom. Yeah, let's hope everybody writes in the comments whatever you feel in relation to this. Also today, whatever, just write in the comments how you feel about this. How was the course for you? What did you receive? What was the thing that touched you the most of the whole course? What the thing that you're going to take with you, that you're never going to forget? And as usual, like, comment, subscribe, but keep your Bhakti. No matter what, keep your Bhakti. Naam, and until next time. Thank you.